Hi everybody, Dr. D here, author of Beyond Medicine, Exploring a New Way of Thinking. And today we're going to explore a new way of thinking about a process that I've been working on for about 25 years now called dichotic dissertation. And these processes are finally at a point where I feel that they've been perfected enough to release them to the general public and make them available to you as part of a program for dealing with some of the chronic issues that you experience in your day-to-day life that just don't seem to get better and don't seem to go away, which I call vicious cycle disorders. Now, I talked briefly about vicious cycle disorders in a previous video, but for those of you who haven't seen it yet, a vicious cycle disorder is simply a chronic set of symptoms with no apparent cause. So you keep experiencing the same thing over and over and over again in any area of your life, whether it's a physical ailment, a biochemical imbalance or deficiency, or an emotional imbalance or deficiency or upset or a state of mind that continues to contribute to perpetuating the experiences that you keep having day after day after day, whether they're reflected as a lack of money or poor relationships or poor choices in business or inability to succeed or inability to identify a passion and have something that you feel really joyful about and really passionate about to the extent that you bounce out of bed every morning and you can't wait to wrap your arms around it. So a vicious cycle disorder is a chronic group of experiences, a chronic group of symptoms for which a cause has yet to be identified. Now, obviously, the easiest way to resolve this issue is to identify the cause, and that's part of the benefit of going through the matrix assessment profile, and that's how the matrix assessment profile is designed to quickly and efficiently and as cost effectively as possible identify the cause of these chronic ongoing experiences. Because as you all know, I believe that these chronic imbalances and deficiencies can contribute to physical symptoms, biochemical imbalances, and psycho-emotional spiritual imbalances that manifest as symptoms of various kinds in different areas of your life, either because they directly produce the symptoms or they cause you to adopt behaviors or to make choices that then initiate counterproductive changes in the biochemistry. So one of the benefits of the MAP, or the matrix assessment profile, is to determine whether what we're seeing in the biochemistry is causing what you're experiencing or what you're experiencing is causing what we're seeing in the biochemistry, and then we move that much closer to cause. But the actual topic of this particular video is the dichotic dissertation. Now, dichotics are a group of processes that involve two narrative scripts. And the way the dichotic process is organized is initially when you play the CD or you download it off of the site, you'll hear some soothing music and soothing sounds, and then a minute or so into it you'll hear what's called a binaural beat, which is a brainwave frequency. Now, we know that all behaviors occur within 5 ranges of brainwave frequencies. And so if you can identify the behavior that you don't want to experience anymore, or you can identify the experience that you do want to have, then we can apply the associated brainwave frequencies to a narrative dialogue that will then be impressed upon the subconscious mind in a way that will allow for the resistance inherent in the conscious mind to be subdued, and it will allow for the neuroplasticity of the brain, or the ability of the brain to change and to grow and to respond to specific stimulus, to actually produce a different outcome in your behavior, in your choices, and in your moods, and in your experiences. Now, when you listen to the first dichotic process, and there is a sample on the site that if you haven't heard it and you're not familiar with the process, I'd like you to take the opportunity and take the time to at least download it and listen to it one time before you go to bed in the next few days. But for the moment, understand that the soothing sounds and the initial dialogue on the CD are simply meant as part of an induction process to get you in a state of what's called relaxed arousal, where you're receptive to information outside of the 2,000 bits of information that your conscious mind is extracting from the 400 billion bits of information that you're being exposed to every second. And we want to be able to change that filtering system so that your subconscious mind is actually getting access to additional information that's consistent with the experiences that you want to have. So this is how the dichotics are constructed. About a minute or two into the actual process, you'll hear my voice come on separately in each ear, telling two different stories that really have nothing to do with each other or with anything in general, other than the fact that they are constructed so that the dialogue is consistent with the experience that you want to have. So for instance, if we're dealing with stress reduction and relaxation, then there'll be a story in one ear talking about a story of an individual who is walking through the forest and looking at all of the wonderful things in nature and experiencing a deep and profound sense of relaxation and a release of stress as they sit down next to a pool of soothing water that trickles in the background and flows gently across their feet. And then in the other ear, you may hear a story about an individual walking through the mountains, looking at the leaves and watching the sun being filtered through the leaves and feeling the warmth from the sun enveloping their body as they lie down against a tree and gently close their eyes. And so these two stories individually do have impact on the relaxed arousal state, but the way the stories are constructed, where one story in one ear will pause and the other story in the other ear will begin, they form a third story that is designed to be heard in the center of your subconscious and is actually the dialogue that reprograms the subconscious to make it sensitive to other stimulus that is consistent with the experiences that you now want to have. So what will happen by the end of the 7 or 9 or 11-minute process is the conscious mind is entirely fatigued, running back and forth between the two stories, trying to make sense out of them. When in reality, once the conscious mind does fatigue, the third story begins to emerge, and what you hear in your subconscious is a story about the experiences you want to have, the behaviors you want to adopt, and all of the changes that you want to have occur in your life. So if you haven't heard them yet, please go to matrixtransformation.com and download a free sample. I'm Dr. Richard DiCenso. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I look forward to exploring a new way of thinking with you again in the near future.